Welcome to the Motormouth YouTube channel. I'm Zach.
I'm Andrea.
And we do full-length car reviews each and every week, and halfway through we stop for a segment called Questions, Coffee, and Cars. We spun it off. We're getting very close, Andrea, to 150. This is 149. How do you get a question in?
Follow along on Instagram at Motormouth_Andrea. Every Sunday morning I put a post out on Instagram asking for questions. Once we gather them, our post is deleted and we start the show.
Time now for Questions, Coffee, and Cars.
Your questions from Instagram.
Love your guys' show and been watching it for years now. Awesome. I was about to get a car as I'm a new driver and was looking in the compact crossovers like the RAV4 and the CX-5. I was looking at the Toyota RAV4, Honda CR-V, Mazda CX-5, Nissan Rogue, and also the Nissan Ariya. What would you guys recommend? As for me, safety and reliability are on my list, but also the features I get. Okay, you got a good mix there.
I was just going to say,
Yeah.
I mean, you're getting a new car. They're all going to have the latest safety equipment, even on the base models. The most important one is forward collision warning and automatic braking, and they are going to have that. So you might have to go up certain trims to get things like lane keep assist, which I don't particularly like, or cross traffic alert, which is a handy one actually. So you have to look at how much you want to spend and what kind of trim level you want.
So the most reliable, really, the RAV4 and the CX-5. They've been in the market a long, long time. Two new models are coming this year for the RAV4 and the CX-5. We're looking forward to seeing and driving those vehicles. The Ariya, for an electric vehicle, actually has very good reliability scores. We would lease an electric vehicle as depreciation is quite great. If you do plan on keeping your EV for a longer period of time, then I don't think you have to worry too much about that. The Nissan Rogue is a great option, especially for features but reliability issues. That is a concern.
I just want to say, I can't remember who posted this, but they said that the Ariya had the highest quality of all electric vehicles.
I think Consumer Reports did it.
So that's one that often goes under the radar, but actually does really impress whenever you drive it. Nice interior. So I would, to future-proof, if you're going to spend the money and it's your first new car, get a hybrid anyway. You're going to save money on fuel, and if you're not in a rush, if you've never bought a new car before, you might want to wait, because this whole category of vehicles it's going to have a bunch of replacements. There is going to be a new CX-5. There is going to be a new RAV4. There will be updates to other models. So if you're not in a rush, if you could wait a year, I know that's a big ask.
Well, I just think that these are new models. So if reliability is really your focus, you may be more interested in getting the more reliable outgoing models. Yes. Now, I just wanted to talk a little bit about size. Your largest in this class is going to be the Honda CR-V, and the Ariya is quite big, and the Nissan Rogue. But the Honda CR-V is the largest. There have been some recalls on that model, but they're sorting it out.
Yeah, but if you're buying a new one, it'll all be done.
It'll all be done.
All the recalls will be done on it before you even buy it.
CX-5 is your smallest, but most engaging and fun to drive, in my opinion. You're a young person, don't know if you really need something bigger. You might just want to go with that CX-5. Is it okay to get an off-road trim of a car even if you never plan on going off-road? For example, I really like the look of the Traverse Z71 or Z71, but would never use its off-road capabilities.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
You know, most people that have those off-roady looking SUVs are not going anywhere near dirt roads. So buy what you like.
And we think it's pretty cool. And we drove that model on road, and it did a really good job with comfort level and imperfections in the road. So
were they
for
17 or 18-inch wheels? Do you remember? I think they were
I can't
17.
remember.
Anyway, you get a smaller wheel and a bigger sidewall with all-terrain tires, and it wasn't uncomfortable to drive on the road, but you get a more cushioned ride because of the smaller wheel. Check the sound of the engine if it's passable for you. There are complaints that people say the engine is too noisy inside the cabin, but other than that, we think it's a great product.
Check it out. And even like something like the Outback Wilderness with the smaller wheels and tires, fantastic. I mean, it doesn't matter. Just go and buy what you like. Love the channel. Will you be reviewing the 2025 Porsche Macan EV? What are you hearing about real world range and reliability?
It's booked, Andrea. I think we have it the first week of March or the
Yeah.
second week of March. It's booked. So we are on the road a lot, so we would get it earlier.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to driving it. We're big fans of Porsche. And we like the Macan. Unfortunately, I find it too small. But the Macan EV gets around that because it's a slightly longer wheelbase, so you get more interior space. So we're gonna give you all that information.
Reliability wise, people actually haven't had a lot to say about it. It's early days, but I think you kind of have to wait, but I haven't heard a lot of complaints yet. I do want to say, and this is just one person, our friend bought a Macan EV. She's one of the first here in Vancouver. She's coming out of a Taycan. Now, she's been driving an EV for 8 years. She started with a Model
S.
Y.
Model S.
Oh, was it a Model
Model
S?
S,
Yes,
yeah.
a Model S. No problems with the Model S at all. She got into the Taycan. Plenty of issues along the way in her lease. She actually looked at the Macan
GTS
gas, and they said to her at the dealership, wow, that's a massive change. We don't typically see that. And she did drive it, and she felt like she enjoyed the EV experience more. So she picked up her Macan EV, and right off the bat, it had some electronic issues. So it had to go back to the dealership.
Backup camera, something like that.
There's a problem.
So we saw her at a friend's house for dinner, and she was getting it that week, and I said, oh, you'll notice a big difference, improvements in the software compared to the Taycan. Taycan was first out of the gate for Porsche. There were lots of issues around them, so I think as car companies go along, improve the software. As you know, Volkswagen Group has got a $5 billion stake in Rivian to get into their, really all they want is the software for all the integration that they've been able to accomplish. So as the next generation and the next generation of EVs come along, they're going to be way better because all of the issues pretty much surround electronics.
For sure. And you know, Porsche received some pushback last year from shareholders because their plan was to go all electric by 2030, and now they are stepping back from that, and they're basically going to look at market demand to decide where they're going to go from here.
Before we move on, there was speculation, well, there was actually outright said that the Boxster and Cayman would be replaced with an all EV. Apparently they're walking that back.
Yeah.
Macan EVs in the market. Their best seller is Macan Gas. So I suspect that there's going to be parallel lines, one making EVs, one making the gas models, especially in light of changes in the U.S. government. So I think you're going to be able to get your gas-powered Porsche for a little while longer.
And the Macan gas model is their entry-level vehicle. A lot of women are interested in the Macan gas model as well. And for a Porsche, it's more budget-friendly.
You know what?
But they definitely, I just don't know how they could possibly eliminate that.
So I remember when the Macan came out, and they had a special trim that they brought in. You actually drove it. And it was the base model, 4-cylinder, but it had a package on it to get you some nicer stuff. It was $57,000 Canadian. 57 grand.
I know.
I mean, times have changed. Good luck. You're not getting a used one for that.
No, but times have changed for all manufacturers. I mean, it's just crazy. We just put out our 4Runner review, and those hybrids, woo, they get up in price. Deciding between the Explorer, not the ST, Cross Sport, or the CX-90. In your opinion, which vehicle is more engaging to drive? Don't want a boring SUV. Thanks. Love the show.
Okay, so we've got the Ford Explorer. The Cross Sport is the Atlas.
That's right.
Without the third row. What was the last one?
And the CX-90.
The CX-90. Well, those are all good choices.
Yeah. I would say the CX-90 has it does have an engaging drive for a 3-row SUV, but the transmission isn't quite there yet. We just did a review of the inline 6 and much improved. We would say about 85% there, but we were happy with the improvements.
Okay.
For me, the Explorer was really the most fun.
Yeah, and one thing I should explain is that the Ford Explorer, the latest platform, so they've just updated it for 2025, which is mostly a facelift. is built on a rear-wheel drive platform. So the bias, even when you get an all-wheel drive version, which would only be sold in the Canadian market, in the US you can get both rear wheel or all-wheel drive, gives you better driving dynamics, more sort of German style. The Volkswagen is not that. It's a front-wheel bias all-wheel drive system, and then the CX-90 is a rear bias all-wheel drive system.
Yep.
That's all great stuff. The one I'm going to throw at you, do you know what I'm going to say? My opinion is the best handling 3-row mid-size SUV. Get it while you can, because they're going to bring out a new one, is the Durango.
Yeah.
And that's a rear bias all-wheel drive system built on an old Mercedes-Benz platform. And go drive it. You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised.
I'm going for the Explorer.
You'll be surprised.
One of my relatives is offering to let me purchase or potential gift their older Audi A4 from them, a 2013. It has only 52,000 miles on it and runs like new. What would be the advantages and disadvantages of buying it as a first car for a 19-year-old male?
So do they really love you or do they hate you? Because there's loads of, go online and look up Audi A4, repair videos. There's lots of them out there.
Yeah.
So it's a low mileage car, but that sort of generation of Audi, depends how they've been looked after. What I would do is, it's a great first car, I think. I mean, it really is a good first car. Nice size, safe car, all that kind of stuff. Go and get it inspected by somebody that knows Audis, and they will list all the pitfalls that can happen and sort of tell you kind of the state of the car.
Yeah.
But it can be great, or it can be not great.
So it does have a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, 211 horsepower, and 258 pound-feet of torque. I hope you have a responsible 19-year-old. I like our Civic, which has 150 plus horsepower.
That's
for
a perfect
our
amount.
Charlie.
It's a perfect amount of slow. That's why I like
Perfect amount. So that 258 pound-feet of torque is a lot for a young person. Just keep that in mind. I pulled some numbers for you from Consumer Reports. 34 out of 100 for reliability. It is an issue. And then also a couple other things. They said owner satisfaction for that model, a 1 out of 5 from Consumer Reports. And then Consumer Reports said it scored poorly on the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety for the small overlap crash test. So
I'm surprised
few
because
things to think about
I'm
there.
surprised because it's built on a common platform used by other stuff in the Volkswagen world. Listen, it all comes down to the maintenance that was done on the car, the known bugaboos of that particular model. I'm not sure where you live, if you live somewhere where the weather is nice and it's not a factor with rust and corrosion and stuff like that. But please, before you buy it, I'm joking a little bit, but not really. At the beginning I said, do they love you or not love you? Because it could be a whole heap of problems, but it might actually be just fine. So get it inspected, buy a mechanic before you buy it.
And also look at his service reports, what your friend did, or is it a relative? I'm not sure.
Yeah, has the car been reliable for them? Because
Yes.
usually if it's like an aunt or an uncle or a grandparent, they're not going to want the young person having a steaming hot turd to drive around in.
No.
It's not been reliable.
And it is a relative. So just be careful with that. And then, like I said, that torque number, I'm being a total mom here, but I do worry about that kind of stuff. So if he is responsible, then that's amazing. Hi, my favorite couple. Thank you. I've never lived in a place that snows. I'm from Brazil. Is there any treatment to prevent corrosion to be done before, after the winter time? I'm just going to add something to that, is that if you've got salt on your vehicle, you need to clean it often. You don't want it to sit. Obviously, rust proofing is a good idea, but if they drill holes in the vehicle, you could have a warranty issue, so you really have to double check that. But Zach has a really good idea with rust, doing it yourself.
Yeah, so
rust check.
So the problem isn't the rust, isn't the salt. It's the salt in combination with moisture. Okay, so washing the car and getting rid of anywhere where there's possible dirt. What happens is, in crevices in the car, you get the 3 ingredients really are, you get the salt in there, you get moisture in there, and then the moisture's trapped by some kind of dirt, usually from the road. So you want to clean all those underside areas where dirt can hold the salt and the moisture. So what you can do is, this isn't going to help you in Brazil, you can come and buy it and take it home or order it online. Go to Canadian Tire, which is a huge retailer here in Canada, and buy a big can of Rust Check. You can get several cans of it, and then you spray it in all of those areas underneath the wheel wells, the latches for the hood and the trunk, and under the lip of the trunk. That's one area where dirt and moisture will sit, the bottoms of the doors and the wheel wells, all the areas that are known to have rust issues. And if you have opportunity to jack the car up, you can spray all underneath as well. So you can do that without having to go and have holes drilled.
I think that that's a really good idea. Really good. So
Cleaning-
it sounds like he's moved from Brazil.
No,
and
no,
is
I think
living
they're
here.
just curious of how you avoid rust.
Oh, maybe.
So I think cleaning the car regularly, and you don't have to. It doesn't have to be spotless. You just want to go to those coin places with the spray gun and just spray inside the wheel wells, and wipe under the doors, wipe at the bottom of the trunk. If you do that every few weeks in the winter, clean the bottom of the trunk lid. That's where a lot of moisture sits. And by the way, that Rust Check. All it does is it actually was invented as a lubricant, and it just goes in there and pushes the water out. Do you know when you have oil on top of the sink and then you put soap in it?
Yeah.
And you see the oil?
Go,
we used to
yeah.
do those commercials, right? Palmolive.
Palmolive, yeah.
Or whatever it was.
I think it's
And they
Palmolive.
would squirt it on, then you would see it push all the oil to the side. Well, that's doing the opposite. It's pushing the moisture out of those crevices.
Yeah, I think they...
Or crevasses.
with the birds, if they get oil, if there's an oil spill, I think they use Palmolive to clean them off.
They use something.
Because it just kind of goes away.
Ivory, Dove, something like that.
Yeah, I just want to know if you two have a sibling for Ruby being shipped home, so you have matching his and hers Miatas.
No.
So we were just at Daytona Beach with Mazda for the unveiling of the 35th anniversary of the Miata, and boy, it's gorgeous. We've got a video out, so make sure you watch it, a first look of that 35th anniversary artisan red, which we first saw in the CX-90. I mean, what a rich looking color on a small vehicle, and then that tan interior.
Yeah, so when we got our Ruby, we were at the launch of the facelifted. You wouldn't even know it's much of a facelift, but they did last year in 2024. They did a slight modification to the headlamps and tail lamps, what have you, changed the electrical system in the car. A lot of people aren't aware of that. It's got a whole new wiring loom front to back. And they had their tan interior, but not with the red. They had it with the new gray and white. And I said to them, why can't we get the, what's it called? You know this off the top of your head. This Crystal Soul Metallic, is that right?
Red.
Did I get it right?
Red. Yes.
Crystal Soul Metallic?
Soul red, crystal
I'm
metallic.
the opposite of Andrea. Andrea likes to name she goes, well, Toyota calls it a heritage blue. You know what I always say in the videos? It's blue.
I know.
And so we have a red MX-5, and I said, can we get the tan interior with that? And they said, no, no, no. Well, here we are, actually months later in Daytona, and there's a red one with tan.
There is a red,
I said, could you have given us a little, by the way, you might want to wait till next year.
Well, here's the thing about the U.S. getting that tan interior that you're talking about. The reason why at that drive event that we went to, that we only saw it with the Aero Gray, is because you can't get it with the Soul Red Crystal Metallic.
Soul red.
So you can't even get that in the U.S. I can't even believe that.
And we asked them why. Like, why do you do that? I think they do it because they knew this one was coming. But either way, you can get it with the tan. I don't love the tan roof.
I don't love the tan roof
If we
either.
could get it, the tan interior with the black roof with that car, like, why don't we can they just make us one the way we want it? So we want the red one we have, the Crystal Soul, whatever the hell it's called.
Yeah.
That color with the tan interior and a black roof.
Yeah, but I like the sport package that we have, which is also known as
so-
the Brembo in the U.S.
All right, so let's part of our custom order they're going to do for us. Do the Brembo seats with the tan.
Which would look gorgeous. I would go for that, but that's never going to happen.
And one more while you're at it. I
So
don't
then-
want
so
tan
you know what? You know
I
what?
don't want tan carpets. I want
No.
black carpets, tan seats,
And that roof,
and a black roof.
And that roof is definitely going to be hard to clean.
Yeah, you gotta
I
look at it.
feel. But anyway, it is absolutely stunning stunning. And if you love it, this is how I kind of compare it to our Ruby, is that our Ruby is kind of sporty looking. You've got the red and you've got that sport package. And then that one to
Classy.
me is just more, yeah,
Classy.
elegant, sophisticated,
More
kind
like
of like
Andrea.
your touring vehicle.
Hey, like you, like classy and sophisticated.
But you know what? I saw pictures. Right when we got home, I just want to say, the next morning I went out to check on Ruby, make sure everything is okay. And I had
She's in the garage.
I had absolutely no. I've got no regrets. I love that red. It's so bright, and when I'm driving around with the top down, I've got people shouting at me saying,
Andrea from Motormouth.
I love your car. My gosh, that color.
Do you know when I drive Ruby? Nothing. I get nothing like that.
I get it all the time.
I think it's the pretty privilege and the blonde. Listen, I'm going to wear a blonde wig, and I'm going to drive around in it and see if anybody goes, oh, nice car.
With your baseball cap on.
With my baseball cap
Yep.
on and my sunglasses.
Yep.
And then they'll just go, that's Zork with a baseball hat and a wig on.
And a blonde wig.
What are you doing?
So
We're
if you're
all
a little
done, by
bit
the way.
hairy,
We're a
you're a
little bit
little
long.
hairy. Okay, just one.
No, there's-
okay.
what is it?
Okay, just about Stellantis. This is a long-time watcher, first time asking a question. I'm curious as to why you don't review Stellantis cars. Is it because the company is going defunct? Actually, we can only get Stellantis vehicles in the press fleet, so it's really about what they want to bring in, and I'll tell you why. We were at an auto show and we spoke to the PR person and asked if we could be invited on drive events, and you know what he said to us?
Oh, it's all about reach.
You don't
We're all
have
about-
the reach.
You don't have the reach. And we're like, what kind of reach do you think we don't have? I don't know. Anyway, but the thing is, after that, they were kind of dead to us a little bit. And we only take the cars we think we kind of need to.
Yeah.
There's not a lot there. To be honest with you, we drove the Alfa Romeo Tonale. Pass on that. Don't get that. When they say there's a regular Alfa, we're all over that.
Yeah.
And they just don't have a lot of new products. They don't. I mean, they're basically refreshing the existing ones. I love a Durango. You guys know that. Yeah, I'm kind of going to wait and see with them about what they're going to do.
And the Dodge Hornet, I don't even think it came into the press
did come
fleet.
in.
Oh, it did. We just
Yeah,
didn't
but it was
take
the same as the Tonale,
Yeah.
which nobody cares about. They
No.
just don't care.
So there you have it.
So if it's something that's new and great, we'll get it. But
We'll
they don't
consider
have
it.
anything new and great.
No.
They just don't.
That's it for us. Thanks for watching. If you want to get a question in, follow along on Instagram at motormouth_Andrea. Every Sunday morning, I put a post out asking for questions. Once we gather them, the post is deleted and we start the show.
I think I'm going to get a red wig. I'm going to get a red wig. I'm going to be a flaming redhead
Wow.
with that car, and they'll be like, hey, Zach, what's with the red wig?
Oh my gosh.
Pretty privilege every time. Thanks for watching.